So it's crazy. It's crazy to think. All right, we're getting there. In an hour and 40 minutes, we're getting there. Michael Furlan, if anything, they're just paying him to not play because the last time he played was 2020. Yeah, so in his first season with Vancouver, he got hurt and he hasn't played since. So they're just basically paying him to not be there. Connor Garland has 3 more years left to go on his contract. Akito Heroes has his contract ran up, but he's most likely an RFA if not mistaken. Now this is the one that kind of made me scratch my head at this past year's trade deadline. The Detroit Red Wings traded Philip Horonek to Vancouver, and a lot of people were scratching their head, including myself. But doesn't make any sense for any team. Like if anything, Detroit is on they're getting over the rebuild and they're trying to get back into contention. And for Vancouver, it's like a big question mark. What are they doing? And then they go and get this guy. Luckily, they only had him for 1 more season. So depending on where Vancouver's at by the trade deadline, maybe they can trade him away. Or if Vancouver happens to be contending, maybe he can possibly help them get over the hump. But yeah, I was really confused about this move, to say the least. Quinn Hughes, basically the quarterback of that team when it comes to their defense, is signed for 4 more years. Dakota Joshua, I do apologize, has 1 more year left on his contract. Noah Juleson is a UFA. Vitaly Kravistov is a UFA as well. Andrei Kuzmenko, his contract ran up, but he signed a 2-year, $5.5 million, so he's going to be sticking around for a couple of seasons. Aiden McDonough has 1 more year left to go on his contract. Cole McWard has 1 more left to go on his contract. Eli Mikheyev, the big signing from last season from Toronto, has 3 more years left to go on his contract at 4.75. JT Miller, now this one here, he's still his new contract is just kicking in, $7 million for 8 years. It's like $56 million. But I don't think he's going to be sticking around Vancouver. I mean, he's really struggled last year, to say the least. And you can see it. Like, he was really visibly upset on the ice. Didn't put up the points that he put up from 2022. So, do they trade him? And if they do, man, that was just a bad contract to sign, but that was just my opinion. Tyler Myers is coming into his last year of his contract. Tanner Pearson also coming into the last year of his contract. Elias Pettersson, this is going to be huge after they traded away Horvat. Now, Pettersson's pretty much the number one guy. They're going to need to get this kid signed for a long term, 24 years old, coming into his last year of his contract. So for the Vancouver Canucks, this is a huge guy. You do not want to lose this guy to free agency. So I'm sure they're going to do the best they can to get this guy in. Vasily Podkolozin has 1 more left to go on his contract. Tucker Pullman has 2 more years left to go on his. Jake Studnicka has re-signed for 1 more year at $765,000. Christian Wolanin, his contract did run up, but his new one kicks in at 2 years, a two-way contract for $775,000. And Nils Amman has 1 more left to go on his contract. Wow, we're at an hour and 43 minutes. This is crazy. So let's take a look and see. So we still got 3 more teams to go. So this is honestly going to be like a 2-hour video. So if you happen to tune in to watch this whole entire thing, I can't thank you enough. But I would not be surprised if you all just skipped. So heading over to the defending Stanley Cup champs, they made a few changes. So Laurent Brossoit is heading back to Winnipeg after his previous 2 seasons with the Golden Knights. Aiden Hill has re-signed a contract with the Golden Knights. Robin Leonard, if he can stay healthy, he's still owed for 2 more years of his contract. Jonathan Quick has signed as a backup with the New York Rangers. And Logan Thompson, who most likely should be their future going forward, still has 2 more years left to go on his contract. So out of the 5 goaltenders they just finished this past season, they're guaranteed to have at least 3 of them. But again, if Leonard stays hurt, maybe he just goes in the LTIR. Only time will tell. So for the Vegas Golden Knights, and Mattios has 1 more left to go on his contract. Barbashev did re-sign. Bluegar, oh, my paper just flew away. He signed with the Vancouver Canucks. Let's take a look and see what else we can do. We got Carrier still has 1 more left to go on his contract. Eichel still has 3 more years left to go on his contract. Nicholas Hag has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Brett Howden re-signed, if I'm not mistaken. Ben Hutton still has 1 more left to go. William Karlsson has 4. Phil Kessel, where he's going to end up, I don't think it really matters because Vegas didn't really play him that much. He's pretty much at the end of his career, and towards the end of his career at 35 years old. So, I mean, if he goes anywhere, I'm sure he's going to want to play for another cup contender. Yeah, he didn't really have much of an impact. I think he played a few games in the first round against the Jets, but after that, he's basically sitting down for the rest of the playoff run. So, only time will tell to see where Kessel ends up. Keegan Colster still has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Jonathan Marchessault, the former Conn Smythe winner, this past playoff run has 1 more left to go on his contract. So I'm sure next season he'll want to try to make bank. Alec Martinez has 1 more left to go on his contract as well. Braden McNabb has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Braden Pichel, his contract has run up, but I'm sure they'll try to sign this guy for a few more years or at least 1 more. Nolan Patrick, his contract ran up. He didn't play at all in the playoffs. Will he come back? Only time will tell. And Alex Pietrangelo has 4 more years left to go on his contract. Nicholas Waugh has 4 more years left to go on his contract as well. Riley Smith signed with the Pittsburgh Penguins, so he's not coming back. Oh, sorry. I should have mentioned that was in the trade video, so I do apologize for that. Chandler Stevenson has 1 more left to go on his contract. Mark Stone has 4 more years left to go for him. Shea Theodore has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Zach Whitecloud has 5 more years. So basically, the depth of their team is still going to be strong for at least another couple more seasons. So they're going to be a contender for at least 2 more years, in my opinion. And speaking of the number 2, 2 more teams left to go. As we hit the hour and 46-minute mark of this video. So the Washington Capitals take a look at their goaltending situation. Zachary Fuchel is most likely a free agent, but if anything, he should come back. Darcy Kemper is signed for 4 more seasons. Charlie Lindgren has 2 more years left to go on his contract, so that goaltending tandem should be sticking around for at least 2 more seasons. Alexander Alexiev, if he does return, he's just going to be an RFA, if anything. 22, 23 years old. Nicholas Abu-Kabul did resign for 1 more season at 1.125. Nicholas Backstrom has 2 more years left on his contract. Connor Brown has signed with the Edmonton Oilers. John Carlson has 3 more years left to go on his contract. Gabriel Carlson is a free agent, I do believe. Nick Dowd has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Martin Featherberry did resign, so he's coming back. Carl Hagelin, most likely testing the free agent waters. Matt Irwin, I did write his name down, has signed with the Vancouver Canucks. Nick Jensen, his contract did run up, but now he's extended for 3 years at $4 million. Evgeny Kuznetsov has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Anthony Mantha has 1 more left to go on his. Sonny Milano, his contract did run up, but he signed a 3-year, $1.9 million, so he's going to be sticking around DC for a few more seasons. TJ Oshie has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Oh, Captain, my Captain, Ovechkin has 3 more years left to go on his contract. Alexei Protas has 1 more left to go on his deal. Rasmus Sandin was acquired from the Toronto Maple Leafs. He, in my opinion, should be a top 4 defenseman and should be an elite defenseman. Moving forward, has 1 more left to go on his deal. Connor Sheary has signed with the Tampa Bay Lightning, so he's no longer a member of the Capitals. Craig Smith has signed with the Dallas Stars, so he's out with the Capitals as well. He just came over from Boston in a trade just this past season. And Dylan Strome was in the last year of his contract, but signed a 5-year, $5 million extension, so he's going to be sticking around DC for a few more years. And Trevor Van Riemsdyk has his new contract will kick in this season, 3 years at $3 million. And Tom Wilson is on the last year of his contract coming up this season. And last, and certainly least, the Winnipeg Jets. So we'll take a look at their goaltending situation, and we'll move forward. So David Riddick, I'm pretty sure, has left, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he signed with the Los Angeles Kings. I did mention before that Brossoit has joined the Winnipeg Jets, but the big question is, where is Connor Hellebuck going to end up? Because this guy has clearly said he does not want to sign long-term with the Jets. He wants to go to a contending team, and I'm sure any team would give an arm and a leg to get this guy in their lineup, because if he goes anywhere, he's immediately going to turn that team around and turn them into a Stanley Cup contender. I mean, he had that incredible run with the Jets back in 2018, They got to the conference final, but they ran out of gas against the Vegas Golden Knights. So it just goes to show, you put him on any team, he can get you to where you want to go. But yeah, I guarantee at the start of this upcoming season, he's not going to be a member of the Jets. It's just a matter of where he goes and what the Jets get in return. So Mason Appleton has 2 years left to go on his contract. Morgan Barron is a restricted free agent, I do believe. Kyle Capano signed a 1-year deal, but he also signed a 1-year extension for $765,000. Kyle Connor has 3 more years left to go on his contract. And the big question for me is, if Winnipeg does decide they want to trade away a certain amount of players, is that going to affect others? And in my opinion, if they do decide to trade a bunch of players away, what do you do with Kyle Connor? Because I'm sure he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. Again, he only has 3 years left to go on his contract, so maybe he just plays out the next 3 years. But in my opinion, if the Jets decide they want to tank or they want to reset or rebuild, this could be a guy that his name gets put on the trade block, to say the least. Dylan DeMello has 1 more left to go on his contract, as well as Brendan Dillon. I previously mentioned Pierre-Luc Dubois has been traded away. Nikolai Ehlers has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Sam Gagner, his contract is up. He is a UFA. David Gustafsson has signed for 1 more season for $775,000. Axel Johnson Falabi, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, he has re-signed with the Jets. Carson Kuhlman is off to Long Island to join the New York Islanders. Adam Lowry still has 3 more years left to go on his contract. Josh Morrissey, basically the quarterback of their respected defense, has 5 more years left to go on his contract. Saku Malainen is going to be a UFA, so will he come back? Will he test the waters? Only time will tell. Vladislav Namistekov has re-signed with the Winnipeg Jets. He's going to be sticking there for at least 2 more years. Nino Niederreiter has 1 more left to go on his contract. He was brought in from the Nashville Predators just this past season. Cole Perfetti has 1 more left to go on his contract. Neil Pionk has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Dylan Sandberg has re-signed, I do believe, with the Winnipeg Jets. Mark Scheifele has 1 more left to go on his contract. Again, if the Jets decide they can do a rebuild, maybe this is another guy that his name gets on the trading block, and I would not be surprised because I'm sure he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild either. Nate Schmidt has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Logan Stanley, I'm pretty sure, is a free agent as of this point. Kevin Stinlin has signed with the Florida Panthers. And Blake Wheeler, the former captain of the Jets, is heading to the Big Apple to join the Rangers. He still had 1 more left on his contract, but the Jets did buy his contract out. So, yeah, so he's basically out of the Jets. And I've seen this one picture. It's like he is the last member of the Atlanta Thrashers / Winnipeg Jets when they first were a team. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. This is the longest video I've ever done. Almost
1 minute and 52 seconds.
No. 1 minute. No, it's 1 hour and 53 minutes.
Oh.
So again, if you happen to watch this, thank you very much. This is the longest video I've ever made. Until next time, take care.